Good morning. Back today with a 4x36 belt sander. Got us a heat wave going on. It's actually 32 degrees in the shop today. It's got the base and everything all in one piece. You just have to add the extras. Give you a 6-inch disc for the sander. Comes with the 4x36. They both feel like 80. That one is 80. So this is the aluminum 6-inch sander. So we've got a cover for that. The plastic smells like model glue. Use some tools. There's a fine coat of machine oil because I can see the oil laying in the bag. See how wet it looks? I might be getting picky, but when it's 32 degrees in the shop, liquid on the tools, not good. So they give you a manual that mostly shows what you shouldn't do. Most important part of the manual is the exploded view diagram. Shows you all the parts, gives you a list of what they are, and some of the stuff you could find locally, like nuts and bolts. Okay, need to put a feet on it. So to get these on, start by clipping it this way and bending it over into the corner. And then take a screwdriver, kind of help it over the edge on this side. That's the easiest way to get those on. See, there's a channel in there, and that channel has to go all the way around. So it is a little difficult. Put one side on. Probably doesn't help that it's 32 degrees. Let it cross the corner. And then when you press down, use the screwdriver to go the last little bit. So this is the backer and the dust collection. Very, very small dust collection port. 1/2 inch maybe. So how this mounts is it goes here, and these two tabs go under this guard. So let's get this on and I'll show the other side. I want to show you how this adjusts up and down, so I'm going to take this back off. So loosen that. Now I'm going to take these off. So when you're going to take this off, there's a slit in the disc itself to show you that there's the slit and there's the set screw. Makes it a little easier to find and get off. The hole, there's not much light that gets down in there, so it's hard to find the right place. You want to raise this up at 90 degrees. There's two nuts you have to loosen. One right here. That's easy to get to and see. The other one is down in here. Right there. It's actually easier to get to it from this side. So you loosen those, you put it back up. There you can see the nut, and you tighten them back up. Now, because of the way that this is, you want to tighten those back down to hold it at whatever angle you want it at. And there's another way to attach this. You can put it through this hole right here. Gives you a way to do this, but it makes a lot of sense to take this guard off. In this respect, the sander is very complicated. I've got to loosen these two bolts with a wrench to move it up and down. I've got another bolt here that I got to loosen and tighten this where I put it. And this is in the way if I want to use this like this. And this is very difficult to get on and off because it attaches to the dust collection and on the side. It's kind of hard to get these two lined up and this one lined up. So, not the most user-friendly sander. And how can they improve that? Well, these could be knobs. Big enough that you can turn and tighten. That's fairly easy. That would make these easier. These can't really be knobs because they have to go down in. So this is an option. I've got to take that off to change the belt anyway, so let's do that. Let's see. Okay, so I took this loose, but to change the belt, I've got to take all of this off, so I might as well just go ahead and do that. Get the dust collection off. To get this piece off, I took 2 screws out here, and I'll take another one here, and there's another one right there. So to take this off, there was 4 screws, plus this one. I left this attached because I want to put it back on anyway. Now I've got this off, I've got to take this off. So let's go ahead and take that off, and you see it's held on with 2 screws. And 2 screws. So there's the bottom dust collection. You see that belt rubs a little right there. Okay, now I can loosen this. That's a lot of force. And just slide that off. So they come with 80 grit. Not a fan of 80 grit. I'll probably leave the 12-inch disc sander at 80 grit and everything else at a different grit. 120, 320, 180, something. Okay, I picked up a pack of 5 of these. I actually have 3 bench sanders that use this. So I've got 80s and 120s. That's all that Harbor Freight sells in this side. Give you the other side view of this. And this should just slip on. And it does. Now that it's on, I'll tighten it. That is spring loaded, and that is a very strong spring. Okay, see all the skin it skinned off my hands. Okay, so let's start putting it back together. Start with this. To complete this, put this on to hold this up. So once again, we've got this bolt that we have to loosen. This bolt that we have to loosen. Put that down, tighten them back up. Back to here. This works. Tracking's off. You put, this is the backer plate and dust collection across the top, dust collection across the bottom. When you put these on, there's actually a groove that has to go in. So that's how it goes together. This has to go on first. Okay, so I've got 3 screws to put the back on, 4 screws to put the dust collection on. These are elongated holes, so go ahead and put them on. Then we need to adjust it before we finalize it. Cheat and tell you ahead of time. Put this straight up and put these 2 sides level. Because when you put this on, you want it level. There's a flat side of this shaft. This actually goes on a little easier if you put it like this. Put the Allen wrench in the set screw before you put it on the shaft. Otherwise you're not blindly going down in that hole looking for the set screw. Okay, so this now goes on the grooves on each side. There, snaps on just fine. Now, on this one, the cover, the belt cover, is actually torqued, and it came that way. And right here is where it's torqued, so it kind of deforms up here. So this isn't perfect. Right there, that was like that out of the box. And because of this deformation, this cover is too far back, and because of that, this is not uniform across there, because this side is too far back. Okay, I actually think I'm not going to fix that. To me, it's no big deal. It still covers this. This is not quite even. It's not worth taking it back for. Relatively minor thing. Screws in. Okay, so it spins. Now, for some reason, Harbor Freight's in love with 80 grit sandpaper. This came as 80 grit. We changed it to 120. I have a big 12-inch disc sander that's 80. I don't need 80 on this. Coincidentally, I went to Harbor Freight and bought 180 grit. So what I'm thinking, I've got another one of these I can put 80 on. I got 120 on this one. I also have 80 on my big bench sander. I also have 80 on my 12-inch disc sander and 80 on my small 4-inch sander that's on the 1x30 belt. So I can put 180 here and have a somewhat fine sandpaper. Got this at Harbor Freight for $14.99. Normally $19.99, but of course it was on sale. Had a coupon. And I actually think it's kind of funny. There's 50 of these in the roll, and so they come rolled up. But Harbor Freight always puts the grit on the back of the sandpaper. So even with the ones with PSA, pressure sensitive adhesive, you still have the grit. Okay, so what we'll try to do is just peel this off. There's nothing wrong with this, I just don't need an 80 grit. Just keep an old set of chisels around for just such an occasion. If I don't get this backer off, the 180 won't sit even. Now, if it wasn't so close to freezing in here, I'd probably get some of that Gojo and take that off. So I'm going to try to get that as centered as I can. That works fairly well. Now, the odds on using that 180 a lot, probably not good. But I have 80, 120, now I've got 180. It comes in a pack of 50. That'll probably do me the rest of my life. Let's try the motor out. Seems to be great. Now, I'm not impressed with this table, but let's try it again. Goes in this hole right here. Loosen the bolt, slide it in. I don't think the problem is inherent to necessarily the sander itself. I think where that was bent in shipping, it's keeping this side from touching. Let me torque it down. It's a little awkward. It's not a very good wrench either. I really think a thumb screw or I think a little knob would work much better. I'll probably make one at some point. Now I put that about level and then I tighten this. It kicks it around. Kind of makes me wonder. This is flat on the side, so that's why it kicks it around. It's bringing it up. There are some set screws here. Let me loosen those. There's two of them on this arm, and those set screws go against the flat place too. Let's see how much wiggle room they actually have. So what I'm going to do is tighten this down. It's just a very awkward location. The head of the bolt isn't very thick. And this isn't very thick. So tighten that up. I found that if you take this end and put it right against that, that's about level. What I'll do is tighten these now. There we go. And just for fun, that's already tight. I want to make sure that last adjustment was tight. I've also got, amazingly enough, a knob, which I should have used a lot more of these. And that is how I'm going to adjust the angle. So I'll put that at what I think is 90. Yes, that is 90. So I got that at 90. It's pretty stable. Still moves. And I thought it was moving back here, but it's actually moving in this centerpiece. So let me take this off and let's take a look at it. How this fits on that, I think, is where all the wiggle's coming from. And it has a guide. I have that on 90, and that might point to 90, but I don't think it does. So what I'll do is put that back on there. There's 3 set screws. One holds this on. There's 2 to hold this on. So let me put this on here and tighten them up real good. And let's see what happens. Okay, so you can just barely keep this corner on that, and you want that on. You want the table touching the plastic because that's what's going to keep the table off of the sanding pad. So that slough was in this. Now it's very steady. So that's actually good to know. Let's check 90 again. It's not 90. The table was loose and it looked like it was 90, but it's not. What I need to do is actually lower it. There, that's 90. What I did was, when I loosened this, I pressed down and in, so both was in complete contact. Then I tightened it up, so that's 90. So doing the setup correctly, getting this on there correctly, getting this all tightened up, getting the belt cover on good, I think it's going to work a lot better. I picked just about a random board. If you've never used these, you always sand on the downstroke only. So if this thing rotates this way, you only do on this half of the sandpaper. If not, that's going to lift up. If you do it here, it presses down against the table. Wow, that actually slings that right in my face when I was there. So let's demonstrate this. I'd count on that being 90 degrees, but it will keep the piece from sliding. You just set it there and rotate. That works really well. Desperately need to hook dust collection up. I didn't do it for this demo, but I almost always use dust collection. Okay, drawbacks to this design. The table positioning could be a little better, but it does work. The belt cover came deformed right here. And that keeps the black cover of this sanding disc from going in the right place. And I don't really want to fix that. I think I'm just going to leave it like it is. I think it'll work out good. Dust collection should work good off the bottom, although that is a 1/2 inch I don't even know how I'm going to get dust collection to fit on that. Maybe there's an adapter I can buy. I'll have to look at it. Okay, the belt adjustment, pretty standard, nothing special, and it works good. The release, that's pretty strong spring on this. I like that it gives this support for this end. That's a substitute for actually having a base. The belt seems to track pretty well. This is convenient, it's nice. Dust collection, huge plus. The ability to take this fence and put over here and turn this up. That's a very nice ability. Raising this, well, for bench sanders, that's kind of standard. I don't have any major complaints. I think this is working just fine. It's working how I anticipated it would work. This is a belt cover, and if you need to replace the belt, you have to take off the wheel, dust collection and shield, the table, the cover for the belt, put a new belt on, and the size of the belt is in the back of the manual in that exploded V diagram. But I had some concerns setting it up, but I worked through all of those issues. That's kind of standard for Harbor Freight tools. You always have little issues you got to deal with. They give you these safety keys. They recommend you take those out when you're not using it. I very rarely, if ever myself, take them out. I have a garage workshop dedicated to my tools. We don't have small children. I think I'll be okay. Now this, amazingly flimsy. You can see that that's just a piece of stamped steel. And it rattles around in there, something terrible. As you put it all the way in, it gets a little better, and you could take the time to spread these a little. I don't anticipate using this a whole lot, so I'm not even going to take the time to fix it. Having a place to put this would be kind of nice. When I go to Harbor Freight, a lot of the times this is the free gift I get. It's a magnetic parts dish. I don't know that I've ever used it as a magnetic parts dish, but I do like the magnets. You can pop the magnet off of the back. These are rare earth magnets, so they are very, very powerful. So what I can do is put the tools on the magnet. I'm going to take the magnet and put it underneath. My tool always stays. Okay, so I covered how to put it together, how to use it. It's pretty standard product. Belt sanders are pretty standard. I don't think this is anything more or less than most of them. And I think it's a good sander. So if you like the videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.